Player prop betting has quickly become one of the most popular bet types, especially in the National Football League. The NFL season is packed with player props, from passing yards to anytime touchdowns to receiving yards. If a player can record a stat, odds are sportsbooks have a price for that to happen. Having so many options can feel overwhelming, but if you know how to do your own research, it actually makes finding edges a lot easier. Let me show you how I find winning props for every NFL game using Outlier. Outlier makes player prop betting easier by giving you essential player and team data all in one place. Gone are the days of digging through dozens of different sites to find information to help you make better betting decisions. Outlier has integrations with all the major sportsbooks, so on one platform, you can do all the player prop research, find the best odds, and in one click, take a good bet. I'm Eric from BetSmart, and I've tested over 30 different sports betting tools, and Outlier is one of my favorites, especially for betting on player props. Hit subscribe to never miss a new video, and also make sure to hit that like button. Let's dive into my step-by-step process for finding winning NFL player props every NFL game day. When you open Outlier's Player Prop Research tab, you can already see the wealth of data that Outlier has. It may seem intimidating, but it's not. Outlier has filtered to help you find specific markets, games, odds, over-unders, exactly what you want to look for when you're doing player prop research. Let's run through an example of finding the best prop bets in tonight's Dolphins-Jets game. First, pick the game or games you want to bet on. Next, pick the different player prop markets that you want to attack. Then, we're going to dive into the data to make sure that we find the best player prop bets for tonight's matchup. Now that we're locked in with the game we want to attack and the markets we want to attack, let's start the full player prop research process. Let's start with Garrett Wilson over receiving yards. Let's look at all the data that Outlier has to offer. Outlier gives you everything in one easy-to-read interface. Hit rates, advanced data, team injury reports, team data, public betting splits, line movement, target share, and a lot more. However, the key is knowing which numbers matter most. Let's dive into when I'm looking at a player like Garrett Wilson over receiving yards, what I look for before making a bet using Outlier. First, I take a look at the positional matchups. Garrett Wilson, of course, is a wide receiver, and over here we can see key Miami receiving yard defense overall, as well as versus wide receivers on the season. Next, I always take a look at the injuries. Outlier has all the injury history provided by RotoWire, so you can take a look at all injured players to make sure that nobody is coming back that could take away some snaps from the player you're looking at, or to see if somebody on the other team is getting healthy that might make it harder for your player to go over or under his prop line. Next up is tracking the market and line movement. Outlier has real-time odds, so you can see exactly how the line has moved and how the odds have changed for a player from open to now. As you can see with Wilson, at one point he was at 64.5. If you go even further back, it was as low as 57.5, but this number has moved over time. Understanding the market is essential when doing any player prop research. When it comes to data, there's no shortage of it on Outlier. The first thing you see is hit rate data for this year and last, as well as custom filters to make sure you're seeing exactly what you want to see on your hit rate charts. Outlier also has more pertinent data like supporting stats. You can see receptions and targets, how many passing plays the team runs per game, average yards per reception. You can also filter between seeing the median as well as the average to make sure you're seeing the exact number that you want to see. Understanding how the Jets operate is huge. As you can see, they pass just slightly more than they run so far this season, but keep in mind they also had a different quarterback for one of their 3 games so far. But where things get really interesting is the target share. As you can see here, Garrett Wilson dominates the target share for the Jets. He has 30 targets, which is 39% of all the Jets' overall targets, and number 2 is actually a running back for New York. This information is really important for understanding how a team operates and where the player you're looking at fits into that operation. Odds history data is one of the best data points that Outlier has. You can see what opposing wide receivers have done against Miami and whether they've gone over their line or under their line, and the odds that that line was during that game. After you've done your entire deep dive, now it's time to actually make sure you're getting the best price in market. Say after the analysis, you come to the conclusion you want to bet Garrett Wilson's over. Now you have to take a look at the alternate lines that Outlier showcases you, because as you can see here, FanDuel is offering over 63.5, while MGM is offering over 61.5. So just like that, you find the better odds, and price rules everything. Outlier helps you do that. I did the same research process I did for Garrett Wilson for 4 other players, and these are the best bets that I found for tonight's game. Now that I have the bets, I also have to be able to take the bets as easily as I found them, and Outlier helps make that process as efficient as possible. I can click on this plus sign, add all the bets to my bet slip on Outlier, and I can also shop for the best price available. This is the most important part, and I cannot stress this enough. Line shopping is the best way to get value in sports betting. If you bet the best line, you either win more when you win, or you lose less when you lose, and that makes you sharper right away. Of course, Outlier supports this, and in one click, Outlier will actually bring you to the sportsbook of your choice with the best odds available, and that bet is now in your bet slip, so you can bet and be done with the process in just a couple of clicks, all in one Outlier interface. We've gone over everything to do using Outlier to find better player prop bets, but But now let's take a second to look at some things to avoid. Props are all about context, and variance is out of your control. The key is to focus on making as many good bets as possible, because of course not every bet is going to win, but the more good bets you make, the better chance you'll have to win over time. The next mistake to avoid is relying too much on hit rate. It's very easy to see a player went over, say, 7 of their last 10 games, but that does not matter. Every game is its new event, and sportsbooks also price in these things because they are also aware of this data. I would very highly recommend not relying on hit rate data as your sole reason for making a wager. The next mistake to avoid is not overreacting to 1 week spikes, whether that be a player going well over their line in 1 week or well under their line in 1 week. Everything has context, and it's important to note that what was going on in that game to have them have a massive spike one way or the other, and whether or not that is sustainable or not sustainable. Lastly, never avoid line shopping. Line shopping is the most important thing you can do. If you bet a bet at minus 102 and the rest of the market is minus 110, you not only have expected value, but you also have more money in your pocket when you win, or less dollars lost if you do happen to lose that bet. Here's a recap for my process for finding winning NFL bets using Outlier. If you'd like to try Outlier for free, click the link in the description. To see my process for betting on anytime touchdowns using Outlier, click the video right now. For more betting tool breakdowns and guides, hit that subscribe button, make sure to like the video, and I'll see you guys next time.